Shut up and sit down.
Alright. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of More Content Talk. That's the only show that cuts through the glam, the glitz, and all the bullshit to bring you the truthiest news that we can find. And I got a good one for you here today, I think, personally. It's a subject that's always interested me because when I was young, I grew up in a, family of four. I have 3 siblings. Two of them are much older than I am, so they had pretty much left the house already by the time I was young, but they would still come by frequently. And at one point, one of my siblings had moved back in with us, and so we were always really close. Aside from, unfortunately, my sister Kenitra, whom I just adore, lives in New York, so that's all the way. I live in California, so unfortunately I never got to see her very much growing up, but I love her very much, and she's always been very important to me. So, regardless of distance or whatever, we've always been close, and it was always about each other. It was always about making sure the people in the family were all right. And, we had pets like everyone else. We had a really cool dog. His name was Patches. I don't know what breed he was, but, he looked like, a really big dog, and he get a big-ass smile on his face every time he see me, and we were really close. I was close to the dog. And my cat, we had a cat, too, and her name was Cece. That's because, as you know, my name is Christopher Carter, and, they named the cat. And all the males in my family have that. They have that double C name, and a lot of the females have it too. Not all of them, but the females who are directly related to my father all have that long-standing tradition. My name is Christopher Carter, right? And so CC that's the CC, the double C. But she was always away. She was never really indoors, but she always come back, and she'd always bring us, like dead birds and mice, and you got to go out there and clean it up. But we didn't mind because she was a cool cat, and she lived like, I don't know, a long time, like 22 years or something like that. And I still remember them, almost as if it were yesterday. So it's not as if, pets aren't important to me. However, they're dramatically less important to me than people. And I've always been like that. I don't view pets as a part of the family, right? It's a pet. And I think part of the reason for that is because my dad, was like that. And my dad was a black man, and, he was much more about people. He spent like no time with those animals. Like maybe give the dog a pat on the head, and of course, buy all the food it needed. They never went without or anything like that. They certainly weren't neglected. In fact, they were spoiled. Dogs don't eat meals like that in this economy anymore. That dog had a big old bowl of food. I mean, it was like a one of those platters you put out, and that dog would go right through it too and ask for more. But so, they were always taken care of, and, but, I can't say that I ever really loved the animals because I don't love animals. I'm not, one of the, I'm not Jane Goodall, or whatever you want to call it. I'm like most animals in that I prefer my own species. And it's interesting because the vast majority of animals do prefer their own species. The vast majority of animals are not like dogs. They're not willing to, get to know you. Like, you're not going to see a baby tiger come in and, like, I don't know, smile at you or some shit. They're going to come in and maul your ass because they're not familiar with your species, right? And so, yeah, we're all animals and we all share those traits. Yet, at the same time, our very nature in many ways is diametrically opposed when it comes to species. Like a shark. Sharks don't set out to bite humans, but if they see a fucking human, they're gonna bite it because number one, they think you're some kind of fucking fish or whatever. But then number two, because it's unfamiliar. It's like who the fuck is this swimming around in the ocean like some jackass? You know what I mean? I imagine a shark be like, what the fuck? Like pissed off that humans are in the ocean. Like, this is my ocean. Get the fuck out of the ocean. I'm sure if you could look inside a shark's brain, there's probably something like that going on there. And also, it's interesting because we are the only species of animal that keeps pets. You're not going to find a lion or, a jaguar keeping a pet mouse. I mean, it would look stupid, and it is stupid if you actually think about it. It is contrary to human nature to keep pets. Animal nature. It's contrary to animal nature to keep pets. Humans are the only animals who do this. And so it's an interesting thing. And I always wondered, why, because I've heard many, many times, I've had people who I thought were friends, but I guess not really, because they say, I like animals more than I like humans. And I said, okay, that's nice. I don't really want to know you anymore. Because think about it. If there's some person who likes their dog more than you, and that person, let's say you two get stuck on a stranded island together, right? And there's only enough food for two of you. Who do you think that person is going to choose? Do you think they're going to choose you? Hell no, they're going to kill your ass and feed your ass to the dog. All right? And so this has always been concerning to me, and I don't really like having people like that in my life. It's weird. But I never really had proof that this is true, this idea that certain people like their pets more even than their family members. But now I have the proof. This is an article from Business Insider, and it's by Lindsay Dodgson. Okay. And it's entitled, "People Really Do Love Dogs More Than Other Humans, According to a New Study." So here we go. Some dog owners love their four-legged friends so much that they treat them like they would a child, and sometimes even say they prefer them to some friends and family. And according to new research, they do. A study published in the journal Society and Animals suggested that people are more empathetic towards dogs than fellow humans. In an experiment, 240 students were presented with fake newspaper clippings of a police report, either about an attack on a person or on a dog. In the fake report, the victim was attacked with a baseball bat by an unknown assailant and was left unconscious with one broken leg and multiple lacerations. Participants were each given the same report, with the victim being either a 1-year-old baby, a 30-year-old adult, a puppy, or a 6-year-old dog. Then they were asked about how they felt using questions to measure their levels of empathy. The team hypothesized that the vulnerability of the victims, determined by age rather than species, would be the most important factor in participants' level of distress and concern. In fact, empathy levels for the puppy, older dog, and baby human were on similar levels, while the adult person came last. The adult dog only received lower scores of empathy when it compared to the infant human victim. Subjects did not view their dogs as animals, but rather as this is the dumbest phrase I've ever heard. So just prepare yourself. Subjects did not view their dogs as animals, but rather as fur babies. That sounds like some sexual shit. Have you heard of furries? If you heard of furries, you know why I'm concerned, right? If you know what furries are, you know that this fur baby shit, that's borderline bestiality. Or family members alongside human children. The researchers concluded, showing how people often think of their pets as part of their family. Then they got a picture of a dog smiling. You know, all the white people stopped at this picture and were like, oh, it's so cute. The puppy, the puppy. As a grown-ass man gets beaten to death in the street, and they're like, oh, fuck that nigga. Anyway. But you know, it's true, though, because think about the implications of this, right? They expected it to be that it would depend upon the vulnerability of the victim, and that makes sense. Like, if a victim is more vulnerable, obviously you're going to have more empathy. But that's not what the study concluded. The people actually preferred the dog. They preferred the dog, the adult dog. So if it was just that it was vulnerability, they wouldn't have preferred the adult dog to the adult. It would have been the same shit. You know what I mean? Oh, it's an adult. They can take care of themselves. No. People don't think like that when it comes to animals. And what's crazy about this is that a dog probably needs less help than a human adult when it comes to being abused by, say, like a police force. Because you know, there's all kinds of black people getting, you know, murdered in the street. You know, I'm getting ready to do a report later on Ronald Green. I'm not going to do it in this episode, but it's a good example. That's someone who was obviously murdered by the police. I mean, I understand that they haven't gone to trial yet, but you have to be a moron to think that, because you have to understand about that case. Initially, they lied and then tried to cover it up. That's a basic textbook police cover up. This should be open and shut. We shouldn't even have to talk about it. But people don't give a fuck. They really don't. On the anniversary of the George Floyd, people were just talking shit the whole day. They were just like, oh, white people were like, oh, I'm so tired of hearing about this fucking, you know, motherfucker. I don't want to listen to it anymore. But hey, break out the dog, and there you go. And that's why, you know, you look down through the history of black people, and you'll find that for the most part, we're not really so keen on animals. Just because, you know, because what do they say about dogs? That's man's best friend, right? That's in America. They say that. You don't really hear that in a lot of other countries. Maybe like Britain. Maybe I don't know. But in America, that's the catchphrase. Dog is a man's best friend, right? Well, you know what they used to do with dogs, right? They used to sick them on black people, slaves who were trying to escape. Yeah. And then, you know, nowadays, you know, they buy that big old guard dog, scare black people away from your house, right? I mean, come on, man. I'm getting tired of the fake shit, right? And this is the reason, you know, Paul Mooney said, I don't give a fuck about a dog. Like, white people love dogs more than black people. It's just the truth. They don't give a damn, and even their own families. And I read you that scientific study. And so if you haven't been you know, convinced, I don't know what to fucking tell you. You know what I mean? But that's the nature of people. You know, people love loyalty and obedience. And I stated this in other episodes and in other places. If you sit there and you let a person walk all over you, they'll love you to death. And you would be surprised. If you look into some of the darker things on the internet, what you will see people do to their pets, right? They will do some terrible things. Abuse the pet, harm the pet, not feed the pet. The pet will still love that human. They will still have affection somewhere deep down until they reach the point of starvation, and then that's the point where they finally, you know, maybe stand up for themselves. But the vast majority of times, you know, I don't think that occurs. I think that you're absolutely right. I think that the dog is loyal, it's obedient, it's submissive, and I think that's why you love it so much. I don't think it has anything to do, because this article talked about its facial expressions. I don't believe that for a fucking second. Human beings have facial expressions too. Okay? Try to watch a black person get beat to death and tell me they don't have no facial expressions. You got plenty of facial expressions. It's not facial expressions. That's some bullshit, science bullshit. All right? Pseudoscience is what they call it. Street sweeper just came. Call it a twister. Yeah, street sweeper's down there. It's going away. Anyway, so they want to say that it's because the puppy made a face, you know. No, I'm telling you what it is. It's because you can dominate and control and tell a dog to do whatever the fuck you want, but you cannot do that to a human adult. And you know what? You can get away with it for a child too. You can tell a child to do almost anything. Because that was the other thing that they... And you notice, it was not really a child that got the empathy in the report. It was a human infant. Human infants are completely helpless. They cannot do anything for themselves. They need you 24/7. This is what people like to feel. They like to be in control. Don't try to make this some cutesy wootsy bullshit, because it's not. You have a deep desire in you for dominance. Just like Donald Trump talked about, it's one of the reasons he's so appealing, like I've said before. You want to be in control of everything, and you recognize that you cannot do that with humans. You cannot even do that with human children. The only time you can do that is with pets and little bitty babies. And you got to be careful around people who love pets and babies. You got to be careful, because they're going to demand that same obedience from you eventually. And if they don't get it, they'll cut you loose or take revenge. So, be careful. You see some motherfucker kissing their dog, just remember, if you're ever on a stranded island, it's your ass gonna get fed to that dog. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate all the recent support, the boost in support. I never thought I would get this many downloads. It's pretty crazy. Please share, talk about us. You can find us on social media, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, all at More Content Talk, one word. You can find us on there. You can also find us at Twitter at more_content PLS. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, if life gets you down, you could always laugh at something else. Farewell, folks.